Do the seasons impact the rate of home sales? And if so, is fall a good time to list your home or shop for a new one? Here to answer those questions and more is Dot Frank from Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Alliance Group. Good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Let me ask you this. We discussed this a little bit before, but I want to ask you, what about for home buyers this time of year? Is it a good time?
Yeah, I mean, anytime is a good time,
Yeah,
right?
well,
That's kind of the
look who
rhetoric
we're
of a real
talking to
estate
here.
agent.
Yeah.
But fall can be especially good for buyers because they have the opportunity to kind of take a deep breath. It seems like in peak real estate season,
Yes.
which typically is in May, like through July, it's hurried, right? And it's a stressful situation to make a commitment to spending $300,000, $400,000.
Exactly.
And when you're rushed into it, I think there's a lot of anxiety. Fall, things tend to slow down, right? So you might have the opportunity to look at the house more than once before you make a commitment to buy it. So I think for that reason specifically, fall can be a good time for buyers because they can kind of relax a little bit.
Well, and that's a really good point. And I'm going to use a personal story that you're very well aware of. We sold our house in the peak last summer, and it went on the market, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 offers, and you're overwhelmed by it, even as the seller. It's great news for you, but it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be stressful all the way around.
Yes.
And so, for those people that want to kind of take it one step at a time, you can have that luxury as we enter into a slower season, which starts typically around this time of year, November specifically. We start to see a decline in home sales and transactions up through March.
Okay, as a realtor, do you approach things differently this time of year, whether you're working for someone looking for a home or someone trying to sell?
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk to clients on the buyer and seller side about expectations. And those expectations change and fluctuate based
Sure.
on the seasons. So you might not expect multiple offers. You might expect longer days on market. As a buyer, you might not expect to negotiate a better deal. In fact, you might have to be competitive and right over ask during the peak seasons. Whereas in the fall or the slower seasons, as a buyer, you might be able to negotiate more than
Exactly.
you would otherwise. So I think it comes down to, the time of year and sharing expectations so that buyers are prepared for those conversations and contracts.
Does it make a difference whether it's a fairly old home or an older home as opposed to a new build?
So what I think is really interesting is the seasonality effect really can be tied to existing construction.
Okay.
New construction is somewhat immune to that because new construction a lot of times is under contract before the build begins. And so you don't see those fluctuations in the number of transactions, the price changes, the urgency so much with new construction just because of the nature of the start and finish and occupancy of those.
Okay, we're down to a couple of minutes, but I would imagine, depending on, yes, we're looking at the 11th of September right now, but it is also dictated, if we were in a cooler spell and it looked like we were going to stay cooler, I suppose that matters. Doesn't really make any difference what the calendar is saying. How much does weather play a role in all of this?
Yeah, so I think weather is more of a psychological impact
True.
when it comes to homes, definitely not financial. And in fact, if you're looking at a good time to buy, check the rates because we've seen a decline in rates.
Yes.
So from a rate perspective, now is a good time to kind of start talking to your lenders and get in the market. But I think the weather is more psychological in nature. A lot of people just have a mindset, with fair reason, that I don't want to be moving in and out of a house while it's snowing, while it's
Exactly.
icy and slippery. So I think that is more psychological, less, the nature of the nuances of the market.
That was my next question, and you brought up rates have come down a little bit. Is that a trend you see? And I'm not asking you to, be a fortune teller here, but is that a trend that you see is going to continue?
So
maybe?
the suggestion by most, agents and economists is that rates will continue to kind of drop. However, that's always up in the air.
Sure.
The Fed meets on the 16th. That has an indirect, relationship with mortgage rates. What I would suggest is a lot of people are waiting for rates to have a significant decline. What across the board people are telling us is when that happens, it's going to have the opposite effect on price points. So you might save 0.5% on a rate, but now all of a sudden there's more people shopping, and so the price of the home goes up. And so you've lost any type of gain by waiting. So it is a good time to really start exploring, and if the house fits, write an offer.
You've always said that, and that's the truth. If you find what you're looking for, you can make it work for you. There's the information on the screen. Dot, thank you so much. Always great talking to you about these kind of things, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, have a good weekend. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, the Walk to End Alzheimer's is coming up to Bismarck and Mandan. In a couple of weeks, we're going to learn more about how you can get involved. And then later, a special interview with about the movie Hazel. It's an iconic North Dakota story made into a film that you'll soon be able to see.